with the WASC camping. So we're going to discuss the effects of the West African Senior School Certificate Examination WASC, students camping towards their preparation for the exam and how that affects quality education and the potential disruption of school routines and the need for safe and hygienic camping environments, posing challenges, particularly when combined with the threat of mpox currently in the country. This morning, to discuss this very important issue, we have Abraham Nicholas Kamara, CEO of Vision Investment, Digital Tech Hub, and a lecturer at IPAM. Also in the studio, we have Alphonso Manley, National Coordinator, Civil Rights Coalition. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
I'll start with you, Alphonso. The conversation on camping for WASC has been a debate over the last couple of years, and the seriousness of the conversation is intensifying. The pros and cons of camping and what we've seen it to have, the impact we've seen it to have in not only the exam, but also the lives of these students who have done camping to prepare for the exams. You work as, you're one of the CSOs in that area, education. Please, over the years, your observation, you and your team, what have you gathered as a feedback from the impact of camping?
Yeah, thank you very much. It has been a mixed bag. But firstly, let's look at the fundamental. We talk of education governance. In a school system, a teacher is required to teach having a lesson plan, having a scheme of work, and you must go by the syllabus for that prescribed subject based on the curriculum. In school system nowadays, as soon as the pupil is promoted from SS2 to SS3, we see teachers shying away from going to the classroom. We see a situation wherein parents have to be exploited to pay for lessons. And close to examination, some kids cannot study by themselves. This brought the idea of camping. But before now, what the ministry have done, the ministry have made it very clear as part of their policy, say, there should be no private lesson in school. There should be no camping in school. I don't think the ministry have that authority to extend it to homes and other institutions that are not within the school corridors. I don't think they have that mandate, except government can come up with regulation to say camping is illegal. But since their jurisdiction is within the school premises, the ministry have come up with a very strong press release, no extra lesson in school and no camping in school. In terms of camping, there are advantages and disadvantages. Let me begin with the disadvantages. If we use camping to promote examination malpractice, that's negative camping. For instance, a few years back, you saw the Anti-Corruption Commission, they raided the house at Aberdeen, where pupils were camping, and they met pupils rewriting the WASC exam. That negative aspect of camping. Few years down the line again, you saw at East End, they raided a home. Pupils that were supposed to be in centers, writing examination in school centers, they are in a particular private residence writing examination, to the point that some went up the roof, some in freezer. The ACC Scorpion team did that raid. But a camping where like-minded pupils are, wherein you call lecturers, to revise past questions, wherein you don't promote immoralities, I think those camping are necessary. You have them across the board. Universities, colleagues can come together to say, come read in my house today. I'm grounded in accounting. Come study. These are positive camping. But again, the way we're using camping of late does not promote morals, does not guarantee improving learning outcome. And these are the negative attributes of camping. For instance, you see pupils go to camp because they want to go to a nightclub. They want that freedom. At night where they can go out. You see them go to camping, not to study, but to sort for examination materials so that they can involve in examination malpractice. So there are two aspects. There is the positive aspect, there is negative aspect. I will use Providence as an example. Providence normally, you know, they organize camping out of the school. But the principal or the owner of the school, Mr. Bangura, pay rapt attention. He does not move out without the authority of your parents. There are clearly stated timetable. There are clearly rules and regulation. This is why I think 2 years ago, they came first in their examination. So camping must be monitored, must be supervised.
So if you put
otherwise,
it,
it is negative.
It this way, what would you rather say? Should camping be banned in entirety, or should there be more stringent measures put in place to properly regulate the period of the camping?
I'll go for the latter. Put more stringent measures to regulate. Phoebian,
so those stringent measures now, I want to hear your suggestions.
Okay.
What do you think, A, the ministry itself should do, B, the school authorities and the parents? What should they do to maximize the benefits of camping and sort of eradicate the negative aspects that have been imbibed in camping?
In terms of this, the ministry have limited role. It is the school authority. Because if you look at the two-tier system of governance in school, it is the responsibility of the principal or the to manage the day-to-day running of the school. The ministry form the board, so they formulate policies, and those policies is being implemented by the school administration. So what happens, there should be that kind of collaboration. Because in some of this camping, some principals are against it. So you will see a particular teacher finding a resident, you know, those ones we oppose. But if there should be a regulated camping, the principal must be aware and the school must come up with clear guidelines, and they must have a form A that your parents should give consent. And secondly, when you are in camp, you should not have the authority or the audacity to leave the camp without permission. Either your parents request for you based on an emergency, or there is a reason for you to go out, justifiable reason that the head of the camp will say, yes, this reason is justified. On a Sunday, you need to go to church. On a Friday, you need to go for prayers. You come back. But without those regulations formulated by the schools in collaboration with those organizing the camping, we will condemn camping. Because in some homes, even you have all what it takes, some people cannot study alone. They cannot study alone. They need to come together, you use your strength, and you draw from their strength. You know, they can sit for a very long hours if they are together. But if you want, you are at home, maybe you fall asleep.
That's an interesting point you brought, and I'm going to come to you, Nicholas.
Yes.
Before now, probably 10 years ago, 15, 20, I'm sure in the days you wrote the exam, people were not doing camping. Camping started very recently, but people were acing their exams. In fact, some of the past results back then were way better, more significant than even of recent days. How did we get to this point where the thought, the perception is that you can only pass these exams when you go for camping?
Thank you so much, Vivian and AYV, for bringing contemporary topics like this. When my brother is talking, I draw a line that why even encouraging camping. Like you already said, 15 years down the line, the grammar school, the academy, those top schools, the Bow School, the St. Francis.
You'd have to add Annie Walsh and the female schools. The point is that female schools are added.
So I can't imagine the value addition of out of camping towards quality education. Because if a student or a child is being prepared well from SS1, SS2, SS3 in our own regime, that you finish your syllabus SS2 at the first semester, first time of SS3, you are well guided with your syllabus. Before they do what you call afternoon shift sessions, where we close for us, 1 month to us, they'll gather us in the evening, they do revision, they bring in past papers, they give us continuous tests, latitude and everything, prepare you for you to cut down that phobia or that panic in the public exams. But for me, the issue of art camping, I wonder what's the morals and what the values. Alphonso Manley, we have systemic problem in this country. We have chronic problems that if a parent cannot able to control his or her child at home, who is that teacher to just go and control him in a camp? Yes, you are right. There are some camps that are positive. There are camps that are very necessary. But the thing is, the school governance and the administration has a lot to tell about this story.
If the
break in
classroom
transmission,
learning if classroom learning is very effective, why is camping required?
That's what I'm talking about. So let's go back where we missed the point. So that's what I'm saying. Government should reduce their burden of taking that front line in terms of public goods. We have to call in economics. We have to call public goods and pure public goods. Education. I always say this: education is not a pure public goods. You understand? People have to pay for it, and quality goes with money. Although, to this latter part, Phoebe and I may surprise, even top-notch schools, private schools that people are paying millions, and all in this campaign. The question is now, where are we heading for? There comes in again that the shift in soft skills, that the traditional way of learning is becoming outdated, archaic. But yet still, because us in Sierra Leone, we are still in the dark. Majority of our parents doesn't know that the issue of citing a goal that my girl child come first for us, at the end of the day, she's empty, because all of this campaign, when you guys, is a whole syndicate of networking for them. I visited some before coming here, when they called me there for yesterday, up to yesterday, for me to have a grounded evidence. It might surprise you go to a camp. There is no organization. When I research about the standards of camping, I don't think any camp has the basic necessity or the basic foundation of guarding people. You know, you go to a camp, Fabian, imagine the exposure of this mpox. We'll come there later. But when you look at why camping, the purpose of camping, to me, I've not seen any of those camps that are bringing us the results. However, one may say, like my brother said here, so our homes that cannot give us the latitude of a student to sit there to study. But if somebody has been taught, granted, you are well granted about your syllabus, and they finish your syllabus for you, why are you going to suffer? Some students, they will tell you, but I will not get a chance tomorrow. We not believe in this, but we will not get away. So we leave our kids, we expose our kids in so many social problems, because that the social interaction, the social good, the perception. Do you know that camping has becoming the perception? I have a friend of mine, which I went to visit our daughter on the camp, that the doctor said, "Mommy, if you don't make her go join this camp, if I fail, now you're responsible." Imagine those kind of things. So it has been like a man-made, it's a phobia that I don't know whether it's coming from the teachers or it's becoming a public good, or it's becoming a philosophy that if you don't go into camping, you cannot pass WAS. I'm always saying this: universities, public colleges must be aware that there is a shift in hard skills to that about soft skills. Having a good WAS without getting the soft skills inside, it might not give you an opportunity to become a good student in WAS. We have this disaster when you look at the passing rates year one. Before, when you have a very good WAS, year one is just a rinsing process. But here we have people who have A's. But when you go to this university that they face the reality, you see them we saw the disaster at Commerce. We saw the massive failure at IPAN. We saw the massive NT point of Fobe College during the mass comm examination. These are all signals, and these are people that have a very good WAS results. Why am I here? I'm here for the students. What is responsible about the camping? Why are we to manage the camps? What are we going there for? Are the teachers ready to give us what we deserve? Guess what? It's not free. Every camp, they are paying huge money. But it is sometimes even the timing. If you want to camp a student, you should have started it from SS3 second term. When there are most of them again, there comes in the education and governance. Why schools throw out people just second term? Where in January, they don't stop class. Phoebe, you don't know, let me tell you this. Where in February, some schools shut down for public exams. The students are just in limbo, moving from one syndicate to another with no governance.
This says a lot about the monitoring of the school.
There the problem lies. The schools has a problem too.
What do you think, because I had asked Alphonso what he thinks the ministry can do. He just said the ministry doesn't have anything to do in this. But with your submissions you just made, what do you think the ministry can do concerning this?
You see, that's why I always call on about entrepreneurial mindset in schools management, in public schools management is very essential. Yeah, the ministry have said no camping, no extra syndicates. But if a school has I remember our time, we have extra time for public exams, for Becker, for WAS. When the school administration is well organized, I don't think ministry can go about it. You understand? If you set a standard timetable for one student, I don't think ministry can say, don't teach them. Yeah. 3 months towards the exam, you have a standard timetable for one student. Ministry cannot stop you, but the thing again, monitoring education to get to a personal gain has become a mayor. And
but
that's
the ministry
phenomenal.
itself
So what must
is
be done?
supposed to have monitoring and evaluation
They are doing
teams.
it, but
Yes,
in fact-
yes, they have that. But you also, during your submission a few seconds ago, just mentioned that for some of these schools, in January, they stop schooling, they
Majority,
shut down.
yes.
So if the monitoring authorities in the ministry are very effective, you would pick up that in January, they shut down. And they're not supposed to shut down in January because the exam is not in January. It's not in February. They shut down when these kids are a few months away to exam, only to rechannel all that energy into camping, which shouldn't be the case as per the academic calendar. So again, this is what takes us right to what should the ministry do?
Thank you. Go back to the school governance. You know, that's why I said policies are made for people. Public laws are made for what? For public goods. They have tried that no camping, no commercial syndicates in schools. Now the camping has become what? Another threat to our society. So we want to call back. That has been 5 years ago. So the school and the ministry should go back and reorganize, saying that the alarming rate of which we are getting issues in private camps, won't we go back and reverse that? Let's organize a standard, we call it summer school, for public examination, WAS and Beke. Now Beke is there coming. There has been most of the school no preparation for their kids until when they say 2 weeks to the exam. You saw all sorts of camping. Imagine Beke students, you take that person to a camp, expose him, saying that to us. So the school must have a good governance. The school must ensure finish their syllabus. The school must ensure continuous mock finals. The school must ensure revision of past questions and answers, exposing the kids to how public exam is all about. But here is a case that is a tailor-made product, wherein the school have to tailor themselves, they have to fight their own way, and they have to fight their own exits. Schools are like what? Temporal stay. Right. You understand? So the authority of the school has to go the extra mile. Yeah, the minister have limited them based on what the policy have already communicated. But as a good leader, the way of influencing
Alphonso.
policies, of giving quality, focus, and monitoring of your student progress.
Right.
He made measure of school, which I don't want to name here because there are other schools that are doing better. You understand? But the question is, what is the leadership of the school doing? And there comes again the role of the parents. Okay. The parents has a lot to do, Fabian. You know, it's 8 hours in schools, 16 hours with the parents. But the thing again, everything's been left on governance or government. And government cannot come from State House to monitor your home. The Minister of Education cannot move from from New England to go and check all homes and schools all over to give you what is being put on paper. Right. There comes a collaborative effort of seeing that there are the camps. I'm not against the camps, but the quality and focus, the objective must not be diverted.
We'll surely come back to you, Alphonso.
Yes, thank you very much.
Briefly before
Yes, there are a series of points I just want to raise. Firstly, it started by saying in those days, and currently we don't talk about in those days. It mentioned top schools, so I'm just reiterating what you said. It mentioned top schools, and those top schools in those days have a one-shift system. Those top schools in those days, the number of pupils to teacher ratio is not like we have now. For those schools, at most, it's 25 to 30 pupils. You know, the teacher-pupil ratios. In those schools, principals ensure you teach with lesson plan, because I mentioned education governance. Principals ensure you complete your syllabus. It mentioned that the teacher, the parent left everything with the teacher. In those days when you have one shift, we used to say in loco parentis. The teacher takes the place of the parents. I tell you, there are pupils who will emulate good example from their teacher and not bad example from their parents. So many of those pupils in schools, there are so many of them. Now you mentioned the issue of completion rates. This is why I said education governance. How do we ensure when you teach, you submit the scheme of work to a head of department? How do you ensure the 5 points of lesson plan is being observed when you teach? You're taking them from the known to the unknown. You introduce the topic. You have guided practice, independent practice. You conclude the lesson assignment. How do you ensure teacher teach using those standards? The pedagogy, it made mention. We are moving away from this traditional. Now we go to the ministry. There is a website sponsored by UNICEF. You call it the learning portal. In that learning portal, all materials are in that portal. Your syllabus, the curriculum, past papers, textbook, they are in that learning portal. But the downside, how much data do you need? Do we have sustained electricity? Because we want to migrate from the traditional method, to promote technology. Because if you look at the education sector plan, it has 9 objectives. Objective 9 tells you that you want data and technology to aid the education system. And that's true. But how can we ensure data and technology aid the education system when you turn off the light, there is no light? When you turn off the tap, there is no water. Right. So these are the systems. So that's what leads to camping. So I am saying camping, when you use it the right way and use it for the right purpose, it is good. Because some people, even when you have all the textbook, they cannot study alone. Let's, for Bookfeast community, for instance, 8, 9, you will see they call themselves John, Peter, Mary, Bokoba, Tombolo, carry the economic. That's camping. But again, the point you raise about taking cognizance of the mpox is a very serious point. And this is where I want to zoom in just briefly. Now, you want to...
No, yes, finish up.
Okay, now, you have the Public Health Emergency Institution. They have issued out a guidelines. How do we ensure that those guidelines are followed strictly? Because it's not only about camping, you interact in the church, you interact in the marketplace, in the bus station, several places, including here at the AYV. People interact. So you cannot say it's only when you go to camping you interact. You interact everywhere. As long as there are human beings in those areas, you interact. But again, as he said, the biggest challenge we have is education governance. The ministry have a department called SQUAM's department, quality assurance. They're doing very well. But firstly, you need to ask, do they have what it takes to monitor school? Do they have the necessary bikes, necessary vehicle, necessary gadgets to monitor school? They don't have it. And the number is limited. We have over 12,000 schools and we have less than 500 quality assurance officers. You have to look at how we are they recruited to come into the ministry. Do they have the requisite experience? Because I know and I believe when you have those retired teachers, go to supervise you, the teacher, they'll correct you. When you have this, your young colleagues, you sit in the same university, you say, but my man don't come, right. And they inform them when coming to the schools. So that department needs to be capacitated. Okay. They are doing their own bits, but to be very fair to them, they don't have what it takes to do their works. How can you ensure that when you're giving a cluster school, for instance, 17 schools in the Western area, how do you move to those schools without motorbikes, without vehicle? How do you do real-time reporting to the ministry? So these are all issues we have in the education system. So it boils down to education governance.
Now you've discussed governance, and the lacunas therein. I would like to zoom into quality. Policy. That is the free quality education. It's your job actually to monitor these things.
I'm doing it.
The civil society activist whose business is to critique or praise when things go good. Now you see, the thing is, before now, there was quality education. I'm not saying it's not there now, It's for you to determine that. I'm making a scenario this morning. So we have a free quality education. Before now, every step of the way in academia, right from nursery. So for example, cows and horses, walk on. Now these things are very crucial to learning the English language. Syllabication and all of these things. They are very fundamental in schools. Now here's the thing. I feel that at some point we've missed it. Every step of the way in academia counts. Every level is important. And what we've been seeing these days is teachers promoting pupils and students undeservedly. You don't jump, you don't rig education. If you do that, there'll be an adverse effect later on in future years. And that's what we're seeing right up to university levels. People are even graduating empty-headed. But I also feel that the manner in which we teach in Sierra Leone is a bit hogwash. It's outdated and outlandish. And I'll tell you why. It's because the job market these days doesn't look for people who are qualified. they look for people who are competent.
Yes.
You understand? So now, tell me, why are we having it wrong, even with the free quality education? Now we are discussing camping. It's fine. Before now, we didn't have camping. I studied with the shade lamp, the glass, you know, the what do you call it, lamp or so. We didn't have in street lights then. You know, you read solo. You inhale the fumes from these. I think at some point I even developed sinus, was it? Yes, by hanging my head over that thing. But it's the only thing that was available then. Because even electricity wasn't everywhere. But we read, we understood, and today we are leading in our various professions. Why are we getting it wrong now? When we have all of the sophistication, we even now have free quality education. There are more books, even free of cost on the internet, that you can download on pdfdrive.com, for instance. Why?
Thank you very much. So firstly, I'm happy this scenario, you have Fabian is here, because Fabian is a stakeholder in the education sector. The biggest event that happens in the education sector is the stock-taking week, which is the annual celebration of the education week. And Fabian sitting here as MC at least 2 of those, or 3. Yes, so Fabian understands the education sector, because in those stock-taking week, when question is being asked, those questions is being asked to Madam Fabian, you know, because she moderated and she'll be doing it excellently well. This is why 3 years down the line, Fabian. Now, in the education sector, you have what is called the education sector analysis, where you diagnose the education sector. And when I say education sector, it's a one sector. From the university to the pre-primary, it's one sector. But because of better education service delivery, we have 2 ministries. One to deliver for the basic and one to deliver for the technical and higher education. It is because of education service delivery, but it's one sector. When a thorough education analysis is done, you diagnose the sector. You know the issues of the education sector. The issue of pedagogy, the issue of commitment, the issue of education governance, the issue of resources, all of this is being diagnosed. Now, to proffer solution to this, we develop what is called the education sector plan. It normally spans for 5 years. The current one we have now is from 2022 to 2026, and the theme is transforming learning for all. The theme for this education sector plan, and it has 9 objectives. When Dr. Senge came to the ministry as a minister, he said the free quality education is delivered by package. And if we rate the free quality education by package, it's unfair to government, it's unfair to us, the parents. For instance, if government said they're going to abolish SS4, have they done it? Yes. Government said they're going to supply textbook. Have they supplied textbook? Yes. Government said they're going to pay fees for examination. Have they paid fees? Yes. Pay subsidy? Yes. He said no. Let's put it into perspective. Let's have guiding principle. There comes about the 4 guiding principles of the free quality education. First is the access, universal access. Second has to do with comprehensive safety, to ensure the kids learn in an environment that is conducive, that will improve learning outcome and free from all forms of abuse. Thirdly, is the radical inclusion that have 4 objectives that deal with those parent learners who got pregnant, give them a second chance to come to school, those with special needs, those coming from poor family background, and those coming from far remote area. And lastly is quality teaching and learning, and that hangs on the Teaching Service Commission, because the Teaching Service Commission deals with the issue of managing teacher. They recruit teacher, they dismiss teacher, they train teacher, they give license to teacher.
I think that's 4.4.
So this is why this is why I'm giving this scenario, and this is why I mentioned Fabian, because Fabian understands. So where do we have the challenge? In terms of the access, there is not much challenge, because we have allowed about 1.2 million new learners to come since 2018. Now that's plus. But how do we manage it when it comes to comprehensive safety? You think of teacher-pupil ratio, you think of wash facility, you think of health program, you think of the school feeding program, you think of the environment. School should have fence, school should have the ventilation, you know, the blackboard, all of these that should aid the learning process. How do we deal with it? So the former minister said we would rather have 90 pupils sit in classroom learning than having 20 pupils sit comfortably in classroom. That is, it is ideology. I've said it severally in several programs, including here at the AYV.
Okay.
Talk with the radical inclusion. The radical inclusion have not been fully implemented, not even 10% of the radical inclusion. If you go back to the policy, for instance,
the ideology behind this?
Excuse me?
The main ideology behind the radical inclusion for schools?
So firstly, is to give those parent learners who got pregnant. Remember, Purposeful was headed by the current Minister of Education, who took the government of Sierra Leone to an ECOWAS court because there was a ban on pregnant girls attending school.
Minister of Information.
Yes, the current Minister of Information was the head of Purposeful. ECOWAS overturned the ban. And because we respect the ECOWAS courts, we say yes, we don't want to lose those girls, so we come with the radical inclusion. Okay. So to ensure you give them a second chance. But that in itself, if they are pregnant, they are attending school, do we have health facility for them? Do we have special care for them? Do we have those kind of treatments as prescribed in the radical inclusion policy? It's no. Secondly, you mentioned of those with special needs. We want to thank the Free Education Project because in 2022, they supported schools with uniform, shoes, assistive devices, wheelchair, and so they've been supported them, the Free Education Project. But the challenge we have so many schools, the number of people, but the number of support they give is small. It's small compared to the number of people we have in school. So, for instance, if you're supporting pregnant girls, you say you have health facility. It's just one clinic around Sakila Road. What about those kids in Kubola, Kolifama Band, those kids in Pujaun, Solima? How do we cater for them? And they are the same kids.
So in that sense, we are saying that the education is free. But there's no quality.
I'm not saying there is no quality. That's not the way you measure quality. I'm giving you the scenario.
What yardstick do you use now to measure quality?
So this is why I gave you the scenario.
So let me
just finish on the quality aspect.
Please finish.
Thank you very much.
More focused on the robust.
So when you want quality in school,
I'm more focused on the robustness of education.
So when you want quality in school,
yes,
it's a two-way thing.
Okay.
It's partnership. You have the responsibility of the school.
Okay.
You have the responsibility of the parents.
Okay. You feel parents have become more reckless these days?
So let me just create the scenario. And for instance, if you have been taught in school and you have been given assignments to go home and study, it is the duty and the responsibility of the parents to ensure they say, John, even that parents know they read, waiting now do not school, they can't see your holy book. Other than that, you go to homes now, you are watching either Nigeria film, they are now watching either Big Brother or Small Brother, all this kind of distraction in homes. So you don't only have quality in school, it's a two-way thing. Yeah. Those parents like Mr. Nicholas will tell you the education his child or children are getting a quality one because it doesn't depend only on the school. I believe when Mr. Nicholas' child comes home, Mr. Nicholas, join to continue to teach, to ensure you study. That brings about quality because if you go in the school system, you have textbooks, you have teachers, the pedagogy, you have issues. So quality is a two-way thing.
What about the school?
Good. In the school system, firstly, there are so many teachers without PIN code. So the principal don't have control over them. When principal asks them to submit your scheme of work, he said, boy, they give me $250 for months, how they go submit scheme of work. When principal asks them to submit their lesson plan or be guided by a lesson plan, they say, mina rena carry it na job at the fen. At 80 and not get PIN code. So this brings about quality. When all of this put together, you have quality. But so for now, we cannot say we have 100% quality. But at the same time, you cannot say quality is absent. Because you have those people with A's who will defend them in the university. You also have those people with A's who cannot defend them in the university. So if we are saying there is no quality, we've been unfair to those who can defend
quality.
If you are saying,
I
cannot say low quality, this is why I'm creating this scenario, and the public will judge. They don't need to help me. Yes, I understand, so I want the public to judge. Because journalists are very smart. They will now make the news that Alphonso Manley have said there is no quality and begin to have. So what I'm saying, I'm creating the scenario for people to understand how do you measure quality, and that's my job.
Let me come to Nicholas.
All right, helping my brother here. Yes. The thematic areas we have to look into the KPIs.
Okay.
for us to measure quality. For instance, imagine a school have 15 teachers. Out of the 15 teachers, only 5 has a PIN code that are eligible to be getting their monthly salaries. The 10 dependent on what, on the daily skating within the schools and what they can generate. And now there have been a ban on what, on private syndicates within schools. So these are the conflicts. That's what I'm saying. Let government rethink and go into this educational plan to look at commercializing and making entrepreneurial mindset in government schools, particularly government assistant schools. That's why you see the issue of WAEC, flooding. You see those government assistant schools, they will never tell the student that government is not paying for your WAS. You know about the saga that we are here.
Government is paying for government-assisted school.
Well, not for all.
No, for all. Government is paying for all approved. No, don't misinform the public. Please. Government is paying. I need to set the record straight. Okay. Government is paying, and Fibia knows that, for all government and government-assisted school.
The floating numbers. Okay. For instance, if they give you 50...
So allow the man to make
Yes, imagine what I'm saying, government cannot pay all of them. They give them a ratio. Because now there is what you call this card system. From SS1, SS2, they know that a school in Makeni cannot accommodate more than 100 students. Okay. That's why they gave as government limitations as an entry point. But here now, for them to cushion their revenue and income, at the time of fact, WAS entry, they can load up to 300 candidates. So government cannot pay for the 200. That's the justification I wanted to make. That's why that causes the saga now.
Give me time to respond.
Yes. So the point we are making now, the measurement of quality rests between, to me, is a triangular approach. The ministry has its own part. Fulfilling of prophecies and promises and proposals must be done in a timely way. Sometimes you can see schools will tell you even their first and second term allowances have not been received when we are in almost going to a 23rd term. We saw again teachers student ratio that has been an alarming thing, which government have been striking very hard. For the first in history that we have an increase in numbers of teachers being recruited. The Teacher Service Commission is doing very well in terms of intervening in terms of reducing the ratio, the mismatch of the ratio. Now the keynote part, what the parents are doing towards giving back. You know, the society has been corrupt, and the digitalization and what the misuse of social media has been a big threat in high schools. We've seen some private schools here that where money or rich people's students are going, they're not allowed to take phones in classes. But here, we at Kube, Upland, Fobe, you know, we in the extreme poor are the ones encouraging our students. You saw a parent that is suffering to pay a WAS lesson fee, but the school or the student himself have a smartphone. I have a scenario where I went to a government school in those supported in the US. The teacher could not have a very good smartphone, but the students have their phone. When the teacher is teaching, they are busy on Facebook, TikTok, and everything. What's the learning? So it's a mixed bag of measuring quality. That's why my brother here is finding it difficult to define. Because when you look at the parameters and the KPIs, they are there, but the monitoring, the implementation, and the willingness to go about what? Acceptance of what? How can we achieve quality? It's something that is not a blame of government. It's not a blame of us. For me, it's a whole systemic triangle that is a national crisis.
In all honesty,
education is what is in the national disaster route, where if you cannot tackle it now, the rich will become richer, the poor will become poorer.
In all honesty, how would you quantify the quality in our education system? Briefly, I have another follow-up question.
To me, it's below. I'm not afraid to say this. Our quality education has to be investigated, has to be boosted up, has to be more resources must be put together. When you look at, when you compare ourselves, I was opportune to have some high stakeholders discussions. Right. When we put our school people now in the challenge of computing, when last the Sierra Leone came first for us. Before, we had the great grammar school, we had the handwash, topping West Africa examination, but when last? Because we have the number, the ratio of passes has increased, but the individual person performance has been at a challenge. The rating, like we said, we leave it to the public to judge. Right. Because we have complaints coming forward from the university. We have people at first class, they cannot defend their first class. We have people with 8 A's, they will go into this university. First semester, second semester, they have accidents or get to have 6 references. So that one depends on what the public to judge.
That's
but we need to put more resources, and parents must know that exposing their kids in technology, the use of technology in classrooms, giving them all sorts of iPad, notepad, this pad, leaving them, and AI, and the most threatened now, cannot write public exams. Even though they are still compromising when they are doing the administration of public exams, But I'm sure when you have a very good environment where monitoring is, you had shock, today not allowed for old phone, the supervisor this.
Understood. Now let's put this in perspective. You are the right person to ask this. You are an educator yourself, a teacher, a lecturer. You've just alluded to the fact that most of these pupils fail at university entries, both at commerce, mass comm, FBC, the diagnostic English exam, nearly all institutions, even the nursing school the last time, there was a woeful number of failure there. Now, see, the thing is, I wanted to ask this. Let's look at the manner in which you people teach these schools. Now, for many years, we've been made to believe that rote learning is the way to go. Rote as in memorizing these pages, reading them. But the aspect of critical thinking is missing in teaching these pupils or these kids. How do they appreciate questions, digress on questions? They memorize, they lift everything, even with the English language. Now, I know people who are colleagues of mine who can tell you every part of speech, their use, you understand, and substance in sentences, but cannot construct very good sentences themselves. They cannot speak well in public. They cannot articulate. It's a problem. Most people are failing with flying colors these days because of the manner in which they were taught. As an educator, how can we change this dynamic? How do we get it right? We're getting it wrong. And it's causing a very injurious damage to our population.
Scary for the nation. Like I said, the rich will become richer, the poor will become poorer. The integration of ICT in the educational field must be embraced and must be accommodated. For instance, like to me, it's a news that in the ministry we have a whole website that have resources online. I want to, draw your attention that how many of our school people from the urban cities that know about those facilities. We can see students with their smartphone, they never know about that. There's a free question and answers. Before the start of the ones, I have up to 6-7 parents running behind me that, Nicholas, we need past question and answers for us. I'm sure if those parents knew that there is a website that provides all those WAS past question and answers, they would have just downloaded them, practiced them. But yes, again, we are coming back that there are certain policies that are just on papers. They are not well publicized. The delivery in our classrooms, the pathology, the teacher-student ratio, and the passion. Because the person is not having a pay code, he cheats by sentiment. So the motivation is not there. And something that doesn't have a passion cannot be driven by quality. That teacher who has a paying code, trust me, even though he hasn't had his extra curriculum, he has conscience that at the end of the month, I have to receive my salary. He has to do his tuition work. But that teacher who doesn't have a monthly routine, not just tips and again in the classroom, find it difficult to focus to be doing all of these tests in the classroom, the 5 thematic areas.
Jokingly.
Testing of learning, knowledge, even practice questions.
Jokingly, before now, teachers were called, just like pastors.
Yeah, it's a calling. But now teaching is not a calling. That's what, it's a waiting room. 75% of our teachers, that's where the problem is. 70% of our teachers in the classrooms are just like waiting room. There's no passion. There's no, for me now, people ask, Nicholas, you are too busy, you are too this. I said, teaching is like a calling to me, it's my passion. If I don't go to IPAM per day, I feel torment because when I see where I come from, the impact I've created, and where I want to go, and the level of people I've been interacting with, that elimination level, standing out in public, I'm not perfect, but I still have something to showcase. That keeps me in the classroom. But many of those teachers, that when it comes to 8 o'clock, like you see you and Phoebe, I'm coming with hastiness, hunger, that your time has already catching up because of a technical faults. How many teachers have that memory? Your meditation a period that what we are doing now, we are damaging a generation. We are sitting on a time bomb because this transition of SS1 to SS3, to me, that's where education lies. University is just what a process of polishing. When the student fails to have a foundation, it's like building a 5-story at Gube. When you know that for any storm that comes, or for any flood that comes, that building cannot survive. That's where we are now. What must be done? Integration of ICT, the use and application of good ICT in teaching and learning environment, converting of teachers' ratio, so that those that you have given an opportunity to teach receive their pay, they have their PIN codes, increase in the recruitment of teachers, so that not only in the urban cities. Let's go down to Bo, let's go down to Kenma. The funniest thing here, let me give you this, we are doing the research. Somebody who is teaching English have not passed English at once. I said, Alphonso, I don't know whether you have experienced this. I said, what do you teach picking them? The man is busy teaching SS2. Wow. He has not passed his WAS.
Why did this happen?
In the provinces. Not one school, not two schools. We are doing a research about what? The pathology. We look at the pattern, how ICT can be used to aid learning. Because when you go to YouTube, all what we are struggling, for instance, as up to this moment I'm watching, there are past questions, people are giving you how to answer mathematics, how to answer, they will give you series of oral, everything in a YouTube. They have this educational aid in Ghana, Nigeria. How many teachers don't know about it? Even the teachers are not well equipped with the use of phone. What they know is to be snapping, collaborating, the use of WhatsApp. So the integration of ICT and scrutinizing the classroom, that those core modules, mathematics, English, for science students, science, chemistry and biology, that makes the foundation for science, the art students, literature. Before we have very good and sound teachers in literature and English. But now, who are they? Where are they? Even if they are available, the availability of them. Before we have this Mr. Kamal that help us to improve our English. Sheku Kamal. All of us, you see people line up in that Regent Road. May God bless him. I don't know whether he's still there. He transformed our lives. He would do small perfect. But now, everything is being put out on commercial basis. Because of what? Teachers want to live like what? A minister. A teacher wants to live like what? Like a director. It's a calling.
Nicholas, I want to get something clear. It sounds a little bit contradicting to me, your submission. You're talking about the fact that they should encourage entrepreneurship in education.
Yes.
Yet you're also saying they're commercializing. Please clarify this.
Thank you.
How can they encourage entrepreneurship in education? Or what do you really mean by entrepreneurship in education?
Fine. The school must have sources of revenue, not 100% dependent on government grants. For instance, if the school is organizing a syndicate, let me what a standardized syndicate that the parent know that we are paying for this every Friday, Saturday evening, that all those students that are writing WAS coming next year, we start to have a syndicate, well organized. Because if you now, those SS2 students, after they are taking the third term, let's say after their holiday, because there's also a need for holiday, then you have a standardized syndicates, well organized, structured by term or by weeks. That's where the commercialization comes. But the issue about selling perfect...
But schools have that in what we call summer school.
Not the summer school I'm talking about. After the summer school, a standard evening sessions wherein public exams, like for one student, because that's most of the troubles from where it is.
Mentally, is that a good idea for kids to now spend all the hours they spend in class during school hours, and then again extend it to evening classes when they need time for the brain to relax? They have domestic chores to attend to at homes. Is it wise to just pack their day with back-to-back classes, morning till evening?
No. That's why planning comes. When I was chatting on camping, the need for camping, there is a need, there are advantages and disadvantages. Extra classes, at least let's be like 3 days for a week. It's a standardized timetable for those core modules. Let's say Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. We organize them, well monitored, well prepared. The purpose of those extra classes is to expose the students for them to know how to answer public exams, how to prepare for public exams, how to interact, and how to do research. It's not about a long hour session, let's say 1 hour, 30 minutes, or 2 hours at most, which is 3 days per week. That's why I'm thinking about making an entrepreneur mind a well-organized syndicate, wherein those students who cannot afford to buy past question and answers, or cannot have megabytes to download those past question and answers, they are ready in the library, they are ready in a desktop, where the syndicate will be organized, showing them on the screen. Interact with the questions before exams can give the student confidence. Because most of the WAEC exams questions have been repeated. For instance, when it comes to English and comprehension, most often they just change the introductions. The body always remains the same. But here in leaving the room for individual teachers, sometimes they're not even full-time teachers in schools, organizing this extra syndicate without knowing the curriculum has been a big challenge. My take is the role of government, the role of school governance, the role of the student, the parents is to see that let's form a very good partnership of knowing what the child needs, what the community needs, what we must deliver, and what must be done.
Alphonso, when it comes to improvement, feedback is always very important. And when you're solving problems, you need to properly put a pin on it, understand what the problem is before you can figure out a solution to the problem. You seem to be withholding a lot this morning, sort of like economizing the truth. How do you expect improvements if you're not forthcoming with painting an apt reality of the current situation?
Thank you very much. So, there are guidelines, there are codes of conduct, how we work with the education ministry. I sitting here, I have an MOU with the Ministry of Basic Education.
So that is...
No, I'm coming.
That is suppressing
No, it's
your
not suppressing.
submission?
So I just want to tell you the modes of operandi. There are issues we go to school, we find out in schools, we don't bring to public, perhaps for the image of the school or the identity of the pupils. For instance, there is an ongoing case now, a reputable school, where 2 of their pupils was penetrated by a teacher. You don't expect me to come here to name the school or to name the pupil, right? Emotional torture. But
No. Don't take us on a wild goose chase. When I asked you that question...
I'm still asking your question.
Hold on. It was specifically before we went to Nicholas. Okay. Victor was asking you about quality.
Yeah.
Your submission was painting a picture that contradicts the current reality.
No. I said, and let me repeat, I gave a scenario. I first of all started with the guiding principles of education. I highlighted the gaps. Not paying subsidy on time, teachers without paying code. I highlighted all the gaps. And I said, when it comes to quality also, it's a two-way thing. I mentioned the school, I mentioned the parents. Right? I said it is the responsibility of the school to teach you, but when you go home, your parents must reserve. And I make a specific example using Mr. Nicholas Camara here.
Alphonso, let's say you're the teacher now.
Okay.
I want you to rate the free quality education, particularly circle the quality aspect. Okay. What would be your score of Sierra Leone's quality imbibed in the education sector?
Thank you very much. So to rate the free quality education, it must be of faith with those guiding principles. And what are the guiding principles?
No, I'm not asking you now for your marking scheme, how you're doing it.
How do you expect me to rate?
What score would you give?
You cannot rate abstractly. It has to be evidence-based, data-driven. This is how you rate quality of education. It has to be evidence-based.
Okay, so give us the percentage and you justify that.
Thank you. Good. Now, using 2018 as a baseline, so I'll start with teacher recruitment.
No. I said give the percentage and justify it.
No, let me justify before giving the percentage. I want to do the other way around.
Give us the percentage and justify.
No, I cannot do that.
That way, when you're justifying, we know how to do the follow-up.
No, I cannot do that. I cannot do that.
Is this because you don't want to step on toes at the ministry?
No, not stepping on toes. But what I know, in rating education, it must be evidence-based.
So if you don't give us a pass or fail mark, how would we know how to follow up with you in your submission?
How do you understand what are the parameters that I use to rate? What are the indicators?
So it's when you actually give us...
He spoke of the KPIs. When you asked him the question, he spoke of the KPIs. Key performance indicators.
Alphonso, I am yet to... We could take a leap of faith on this. I'm strongly convinced that...
So you want the percentage
most
from me?
of what you may say now...
So you want the percentage from me?
are things you've already said this morning.
So you want the percentage
Give us the percentage and justify. So that way when you're justifying, we know what to follow up on based on the percentage you've given.
Thank you very much. To be very honest, we are in the middle. At 50-55. To be very honest. Because of one, timely disbursement of resources. As he rightly said, this is the third term. There are some schools they've not received their first term subsidy. 2, teacher to pupil ratio. You don't expect teacher will be paying an honorarium of 250 to be committed to the job. Teacher salary is still low. Housing is a challenge for teachers. Worse facilities, these are challenging in school. The pupils themselves, lack of discipline. This is a very big challenge. Teacher will be teaching, they will be playing with their phone, Facebook, and all the rest of it. So we are in the middle. We are in the middle. To be very honest, 50-55, we are in the middle. But to make progress from this, the parents, the government, the school authority, all of us have a responsibility. But why I always rate using the guiding principle, so they understand the KPI I use, so you cannot be say I am unfair. Because when I tell you, yes, there are teachers in schools, but there are teachers without PIN code, teachers are going to school, they are not teaching. Teachers are going to school, they sign just the government a register, and they go to private school and teach. So I want to bring out all those issues. All those issues affect the quality in school.
So
and
that
the time,
may be, so
and
that
the time
50-55 might be like a C minus somewhere there. To get to a point of, even if not an A, perhaps a B minus, what would you rather see? In what particular areas do you think if X, Y, and Z are done, it would automatically catapult us to at least a B minus or plus?
Very good question.
Now you understand why we needed the rating, so we know what to follow up on.
That's a very good question. You know, we developed the education plan. We don't strictly follow the education plan. This is where the biggest problem lies. If President Bio sits before me now and asks us the biggest challenge we have in the education sector, and we said, having done the education analysis, right, which is the post-mortem, and we prescribe medicine, which is the education sector plan, and you refuse to administer those drugs accordingly, this is where we have the biggest failure.
What is the administration?
Good. So you need to understand the 9 objectives of the education sector plan. The first one says, recruit, retrain excellent educators.
So are we wasting money in this free quality?
No, let me just put let me just put it how you asked me to perspective, so they understand. Okay. Because you now ask me the question, what is the challenges? Yeah. And I'm citing the education sector plan, because the education sector plan is a document developed to improve learning outcome. And I mentioned the theme, you know, improving learning outcome for all. Now, if we say we are to recruit, retrain excellent educators, it begs the question, when you recruit them, do you make them comfortable in the classroom to teach? Do they have what it takes to teach in an environment that is conducive for learning outcome to improve? So it begs the question. So you develop the education sector plan with flamboyant things. You know, when you read the education sector plan, it's like our education system is the best. But when it comes to implementation, resources are not there. Now, let me just, I want to zoom in this year of examination, whom government is paid for, and the caste system. Now, if you look at the education sector at section 31, subsection 2, it tells you about the caste system for WASC pupils. A is compulsory, and a pre-percentage should be determined. And for the caste system, when you promoted from S1 to S2, that's 10%, S2, 20%, S3, 30%. Now, what you don't know, and what pupils don't know, and the danger some of these our school authority puts on these pupils, when you give them 29 over 30, and you wrote the examination for 70%, and you got 10, when they put it in the T-score, you fail miserably. Because they know that that class is false. So they're using the T-score. You know about, you know, of course. So it's not just when you write, you have 40 here, they use the 30. No, they use the T-score. So say these pupils got 28. And what principals do, they only give you 27, 28, 29, 27, 28, 29. And when they put it in T-score, you fail woefully. Now, government, as long as they have approved your school as a government or government-assisted school, before now it was the quota system. I have challenged it, and when I challenge it, the ministry under the leadership of Conrad have done a whole overhaul of the examination system. Now, schools submit to the Ministry of Basic Education. And when you submit the number of your candidates to write to us, they look at the number of candidates you have from SS2.
Thank you. That's the
because if you have 50 candidates in SS2 and you submit 700 in SS3, where are these 650 candidates?
So that's the problem.
So this is why people don't understand. They are saying, oh, my kids have been left out. That picking way don't pass, you know. Let's go and see it's a private class. So government is paid for government and government-assisted school. But the caste system is so important. Before now, it was paper-based. You submit caste after the examination. Now, as the child progresses, you have to submit caste using the portal system. And they have specific dates for the 3 castes and the BRS specific dates. As I'm talking to you, I have the data here. A host of schools have not submitted caste 3. And the closing date is on the 25th, the 30th of this month.
Yeah, the extended
May. A host of schools have not, you know what you are doing?
So
you are depriving the pupils from that 10%. You are depriving them.
Yes.
So and when they use the T-score, most of them will fail woefully. So these are the technical issues we need to understand. But again, what the ministry is doing that is not correct, and he mentioned it, they have developed several policies. They don't popularize them. Just last week, a parent was arguing with me, and I told Fabian this morning. Yeah. They have removed corporal punishments, and they have not done anything to say what are the alternative punishments. I said, look here, TSA have developed that document long ago. This is the document. The alternative discipline in school. This one.
How familiar are people?
Have we popularized it? Have we engaged families and community on this document? It's no.
Whose responsibility is it to popularize it and get people up to speed? It is our responsibility when they provide the support. And this is why the Free Education Project... By support, you mean the money?
Money, yeah.
How do you expect me to popularize? If I go to rent...
Did you pay to sit here this morning?
Hold on. If I go to rent Brookfield Hotel, I say I want to popularize, give me freedom. You say I'm mad.
Must you go to Brookfield Hotel?
Hold on.
What happened to going to these communities?
No, he spoke about technology.
So what happens if you, for example, go to Abacha Street one day with just
We are doing it. That's what we are rated very high for.
Must everything come
No, hold on, Vivian. Allow me to make my point. Or else I'll ask you why do you host House of Style? I don't go. No, allow me, please. There are various methods when you want to popularize. The method you use loudspeaker, you go to the market, you talk to them face to face. When you want technical discussion, you have to have the screen. You discuss, you project, they see. Otherwise, why do you have workshop using screen? I will ask you the question. Why do you have several gadgets here?
But you said to popularize the document.
No, there are several modes to use to popularize, not just one method.
Yes.
One channel you use is to go to marketplaces using using loudspeaker to talk to people. This is one channel use. Another channel you use, if the ministry have developed a brand new policy like the education sector plan, I want you to understand what are the midterm review, what are the outcome. You need a screen to project. So there are various methods you use to popularize.
So the methods...
The reason why we are there...
Alphonso, hold on. The methods that do not require you to put money in it.
That's why
how much have you utilized them? Why you wait on the money to come?
Okay, if you ask for Civil Rights Coalition, just 3 months ago, on this car system, we took your reporter to Congo Market, Kuta Road Market, all the markets and Lorry Park. You have the news here. Without a single cent from the ministry, you have the news here. As I'm talking to you currently, we are going around in schools, educating people about the mpox without a single cent. But I'm just telling you, there are different modes when you want to popularize, especially to reach him last mile. You not expect me for use me chop money for buy fare for me I go Kailaun. We are not getting for it some use. You don't expect me to do that.
Let me come back to Nicholas.
So popularizing this document, Alphonso, let me just tell you.
Finish up on that.
Yeah, the Teachers Learning Commission. Let them just share it on
it is
on
there.
the social media.
No, it is there.
But I've not seen it.
Which way you're not gone to their websites? All of these documents.
The websites, you know, let's look at the social media. The social media is more powerful than
it is there.
Yes, I'll be giving you the chance.
All of those, it is there.
Websites. How many people that can access the website? For you to access the website, you should have had the domain name, which is restricted. if I may ask you now, what's the website for Teacher Service Commission? Might be struggling to give you the correct.
No, I can. Don't tell me I can scrub. You don't assume for me.
Okay, others. No, it's not you.
No, but
the parents. Sorry, no, the audience. Sorry, I've withdrawn my statement.
Yeah, please.
Majority of those people now that are listening to us at Kube.
Please hold your thoughts. Take a quick pause. Share the web address for those who are following.
www.tsc.gov.sl. Bam.
Thank you. So you see, we have heard the dissemination of information. So what the technical guy at TEC must do now is to download those things, share them on one WhatsApp. It will spread like a wildfire. Okay. That's why coming back to our channels of using social media to reach out both parents and the students. Okay. I saw you having at the WAEC guidance. How many people that are writing the exam now that have that access to that WAEC guidance? Now we see this year there is so much robust in terms of managing the WASC examination. So the issue of ICT in education and learning platform must be embraced and must be utilized, or else if we keep on following the orthodox, we get it wrong. Now let's go on to our quality assurance, quality delivery, and quality focus. The factors are many. You know, the current ministers and the government they have inherited so many backlogs, which cannot be handled in just 2 or 3 years. They wanted to do more. When you look at the educational plan, it's so well put together. The diagnosis is very well reflective of over 10 years problems which can be solved. The problem is now where are we? What must be done? Of course, we look at what, to me, the greatest assets for us to improve quality are the teachers. Okay. Let's encourage them. Let the teacher feel comfortable. Let's give pride. Let's give them the quality. It's not about just money. As we are giving motivations, we are giving out allowances. I've never seen a teacher have allowances like we have Odro part allowance. We have annual leave allowance. Is the teacher receiving annual leave allowance?
No, when they ask me questions,
yes. So these are the issues. Okay. These are the issues we have to look at. Let's invest in the teacher, make the teacher feel pride, and let them know that they are stakeholders in terms of transforming lives. Okay. All of us, without our teachers, without our school administration, we have not reached this part. But the whole question about this quality and the quality balance and the risks in terms of achieving what government wants, which has been a challenge over the years, neglecting the teachers. And these are the instrumentalists. These are the pivoters. These are the focal people who can influence or make the change that all of these ministers or ministries or directors are doing. They are not in the full interaction with the school people.
We've discussed
who makes the change, who implements that project. Even us here as public orators or speakers, we just provide it. Sometimes we just say things that cannot reflect in the classroom. The person who is there to make the change, that what we have been doing the research on, is the teacher.
We've discussed the mode of education.
So let them add value. Let them give the teacher the respect they deserve.
Let's focus a bit briefly on the administration of the WASC exams. Now, there are study camps, as you've said, both of you.
All over.
In those camps, we know the maliciousness of those gatherings and how WASC papers are leaked before time. Yeah.
No, for this year, I think, I want to beg, this year I don't think we don't have much of this massive as before.
You wouldn't know. The exam is still ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. How the papers are being leaked before time and how these tutors in these centers help the pupils or the candidates to answer the questions even before time. For instance, the WASC mathematics paper was leaked and postponed in 2024, for instance. You know, people were busy solving all of the equations even before the exams. Right down to the examination hall, where invigilators were supposed to be watchdogs so that people do not cheat, or the candidates do not cheat, end up being the helpers or the enhancers of cheating in those halls. Right after the examination, when the examiners would call candidates to trace their papers, quote and unquote, hello, I get your paper or English, come with me kind now. Allegedly, all of these things. It's a toxic web of criminality which has adversely watered the standards of this examination. Let me tell you, frankly, there are people who will tell you that for nothing, from the cradle to the grave, they will never write WASC exam or the WASC exam because of the level of criminality. It doesn't actually question the amount of knowledge that pupils or the candidates have these days. It's about how much you get in your pocket to spend, how much you are connected.
Yeah.
That's a problem
Sure.
So what I'm asking you now as an educator, I'm not sure you are on the panel of examiners who mark these papers. I don't believe so, except you would maybe confirm later. But what should we do to tone down or scale down? I know we cannot totally, eradicate, or quench the level of thirst for cheating and criminality in these exams. It's a problem these days. It also have to do with attitude, behavior, the philosophy, psychology of people these days.
You have already started answering the questions. Yes, so let me give you straight to the point, because I think we should manage in time now.
Yes.
Morals, values. Before we go on air, we are discussing that with Fibia. For everything you are doing, it's about passion with morality. The teachers must be conscious. That's why I told you the most critical assets towards transforming education in this country are the teachers. All of us are just pioneers.
Do you think people are being criminal because they are...
The majority, some. But this of your submission, I still want to go on research to see the validity of that of your submission, because we still have students who have very good works, and we have very good students for us at IPAM. Even where I'm lecturing at recent at Fobe College, we have students who can tell you and they can present, they can do your research very well to meet the current day standards.
What percentage?
The majority, yes.
Pupils,
Let me just conclude on the submissions.
You have them at IPAM.
Majority.
A lot of them, actually.
Yeah, majority.
What percentage would you give us?
Well,
students who are worth the sum.
The data are not with me now, but I'll tell you, we still have quality students. We have students who are with brains.
Aren't they few?
They are not few.
Estimation.
There are many.
There are many.
There are many.
At IPAM.
Of course, not only IPAM. Commerce.
No, you reference IPAM.
Yeah, this way, because I'm lecturing at IPAM and Fobe College.
I know.
For IPAM, we have many.
Okay.
We can stand the test of time.
Okay.
They have even replaced some of us. We have RTAs now who are sound, and some of us as we started. When we talk of RTA, we had research teaching assistants.
Your students are more knowledgeable than you, the lecturer?
At the time I entered the classroom, we have RTAs now who can stand the test of time as the time we started taking the classroons. So that tells you there is a growth in quality education. Okay. The point is, the majority.
This is also
Let me come, Alphonso. Well, I'm not being...
It's also self-implicating. As a lecturer, you should be reading ahead.
No, I'm telling you,
so
of
your
the entry...
students are becoming wiser than you.
No, it's not the students I'm talking about. So? Research teaching assistants.
Okay.
When we talk about research teaching assistants, these are students who came with us first class upon graduation. So the universities have created a room for them to take over some of us. Okay. There is a journey in life. Yeah. You understand? So I'm saying now, the time we are given the opportunity 5 or 10 years back to start doing teaching, learning, research assistants, we are not strong as compared to those that are taking the route of becoming at RTAs.
Back to the cheating at WASC.
Thank you. Yes. The biggest thing here is about morality. Civic education should not only end on paperwork. The teacher must feel valued. The teacher must feel ownership. The teacher must know that he is the father, the mother, the guardian.
Teachers here, administrators of these exams, even those who even mark the papers, the WASC exam papers. Examiners, I mean.
I think there is no examiner who is not a teacher.
Are you sure?
Yes.
There are people who mark these papers.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. This regime.
They're being hired to do this thing.
No. For WASC level, I'm not sure. All WASC examiners.
I wish
I start to be corrected. Yes, all WASC examiners must have been a teacher or a retired teacher.
Yes.
All WASC.
No, so that's what I'm saying. You said retired.
He is a teacher. A soldier is a former soldier is always a soldier. A former teacher is always a teacher.
In this case?
Of course.
We are talking about what they are doing as examiners, their role as examiners, not as a former teacher, essentially.
Can we make the...
No, go ahead. You're protected.
So
I'm just trying to...
Yeah, I know. That's the probing. That's why we are here, so that you can be well prepared before coming to the public.
Go ahead.
Because it's not the straight questions that we are here to answer. Yeah. What must be done? And what's the message so that we can help redeem Sierra Leone? As these WASC students are the one going to replace us in the next 5, 6, 7 years. In the next 5 years, even though you might love AYV, it might not be possible to be here again because there are a lot of opportunities awaiting you. So we need those graduates coming from the university to come and replace so that we have continuity, which is a successor plan, which is another challenge. What are the expectations of examiners and teachers? Morality, values. Those days, Alphonso said we don't have those days.
What is morality when someone is financially bankrupt?
That's what they said.
Man will
okay, there is a school saying.
An idiom that says
okay, let's say
man
there is a professor who say, if you love money, don't go to classroom. If you are in love of money, don't go to classroom, because at classroom we sell what morals, values.
Do all teachers share this philosophy?
Majority. Although it's tempting. Yes. We have teachers with values. We have lecturers with values these days.
Is it not a hasty generalization? Because
it's not generalization. I'm giving you factual. Based on that observation and experience.
Teachers these days have the value.
Majority have.
And not like money.
Majority go at passion.
Or should I qualify corrupt money?
Have you ever asked yourself, why do we have teachers who taught us from once they are still in the classroom? Not that they don't have options to go and start another profession, because there is a career, there is a passion.
Okay.
So that's why I said meditation is very important.
So in essence, you're saying that if teachers have the passion, they will not leak the WASC?
When they have passion, they are committing value, civic, and respect for humanity. They know that, because we know...
What about WAEC itself? You've not said anything about WAEC.
Because the interruptions and the interrogations, I have to begin
if these teachers
like this.
would leak these papers, then someone from inside...
That's why I said your submission, I'm still not going with you with a submission that at present, this present was there have been leakages. I can't confirm, I cannot follow you.
Okay.
What my own submission is, how can we prevent? How can we go back to uphold the value of education? How can we contribute, as all of us here are talking, to contribute towards that, minimizing the rate of leakages and mass corruption in the educational system, which is possible. Our discussion now might trigger a positive change. The role of the teacher is to ensure that when he being a supervisor or an examiner, let's say tomorrow, Wednesday, you should go there with the mindset that these children that we are investing our time now, we spend 2 hours here, they are not paying us a lot. They are the one going to, responsible for my kids. Because it's a train. Life is a train. It's a route of a train. So if you neglect those people, they give them all the wrong tools, they will not replace you tomorrow. And there comes in the disaster we have in all sectors of life right now. Wherein the young graduates, majority of them cannot fix our problems. What must be done? Value the teacher, give them the tools, give them the value they deserve, give them the time and the resources they want, so that they can administer, manage, and keep focus on that, on giving quality WASC exams. It is possible. We still have schools here who have genuine WASC results. We still have towns that when the people have 5 or 6 credits, we know that these are credible WASC results because of the education governance. So morality, civic education, and value to the teachers. The parent must know that the teacher who is teaching me is responsible to add value for my family. The government must know that the teacher is the instrument. The teacher is a pioneer of the change of transforming life from poverty to prosperity. That's my own submission, that the teacher is the key for us to transform education. Teachers and lecturers must be given what they deserve. Extra bonuses, clothing allowances, as effective as in other public institutions and public offices, which I think is not happening now. I wonder if teachers are receiving wardrobe allowance, or teachers are getting end of term allowance, or are teachers going for study leave allowance. All of these factors must be looked into so that we can give back to our teachers, particularly those secondary technical school teachers in maths, science, biology, physics.
All right, gentlemen, would read out a couple of messages on our Facebook page and get your response, so would round off. Mosdi is asking, is our educational system being gravely challenged, compromised, or corrupt? Sitaba says, I remember when the president was campaigning in 2018, he promised to make teachers' job enviable. Can Alphonso quit his job to be a teacher?
Evangelist Solomon Kenkagbo is saying, all this boils down to the seriousness of government educational officers. It is not just to give education, how much monitoring and evaluation teachers are given in order to complete syllabus. School governance should take the blame for the drop of standards in our education system. I sat to GCO level exam, and we used to camp at Mr. Mew's house in those days. Yes. We don't even know the vocabulary of leakage. I was there too, by the way.
Morrison Adonis Benia says the educational system in this country is not properly strategic. The methodology that was used in our days in school. My last pick is from Sir Stephen Safasinio. He says, the insider in the educational system are many in the education that are allowing this whole malpractice in examination.
I believe all of this contributes to the poor performance of teachers. If teachers were properly paid, I don't think they would feel the need to organize these camps as a way to earn extra income. Thomas Rogers. That's the final for me. Gentlemen, you'd like to go first?
Yes, thank you very much. Let me thank those texts. It shows they have passion for our education system. It spoke of M&E, and that's true. How do we monitor them? How do we evaluate them? This is why entirely I said we have the SQUAMS department. But again, the SQUAMS department in the Ministry of Basic Education don't have what it takes to monitor schools. For instance, if you have a cluster school of 20, how do you move to those schools without bike? And that person is a human. When you come to the office, you have computer, no ink, no paper to print. How do you report? These are all issues. You come to the office, no electricity. How can you be effective and efficient in the discharge of your duties? Challenging. The last one, somebody said the insider. You know, they're all. You know, when the Parliament summoned the Honorable Minister, I want to thank the Honorable Speaker. He said one thing to the Minister. He said, Mr. Minister, if you want to fight corruption in education, look inside your ministry. And I agree with him 100%. Most of this malpractice, most of this issue that principals are doing are emanated from the Ministry of Basic Education. I can say this anywhere I go without fear to anyone. And I repeat, most of the malpractice, most of this UK inside education, it starts from the Ministry of Basic Education. There they have their agents, there they will inform principals to say. Now the minister was saying it boldly. Those principals who did not submit CAS1, I'm going to suspend them. I'm going to take it. Up till now, for 2 years now, he have not taken a single action, Conrad, on those who have not submitted CAS1. Because when he calls management meeting, those principals have their agents there. Say, no, minister, wait first. Let's focus on Beke. Wait, let's focus on WAS. Type, you know. So those, I agree with that text 100%. But again, what I want to say about this issue of WAS and WAEC. All of us know WAEC is a semi-autonomous institution. In this year's, the last annual education week, Fabian can bear me well, WAEC was part of the panel. No, they did their presentation. You know, when it comes to NPSC and Beke, these are internal exams. Governments can even say, don't conduct this exam on this month, conduct on that month. They can sit together, you know, but when it comes to WAS, it's an international exam. If you want to change the rules, Gambia must be involved, Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, the Gambia must be involved. Now, the problem we have here, most of the centers they approve are not fit for purpose for the examination. That's the basic problem. Firstly, if you are to, your kids are to attempt science subjects, when WAEC is evaluating your school, you must have a science lab, you must have qualified science teachers, all of those parameters. But they bend down because of, we do not have them in schools. How many schools do we have with labs? How many qualified science teachers do we have in schools? Most of them have left for greener pastures. They are not in the classroom. This is why the ministry extended the age of those science teachers from 60, I think, to 65. To say, because we do not have them. So the biggest problem we have, firstly, is the centers. And some of these centers, they do not have supervisors to go to the center. Another issue we have, the police, the supervisor, the invigilator. They are all in, ACC have this evidence, so I'm saying it because when we went to ACC, when they were presenting to the Ministry of Basic Education, police mix, WAEC mix, ministry staff mix, all of them, they collect money from these pupils to allow them to sit with their phones. This is why you can have, WAEC have cancelled 800, 2,000 results because of what? Collusion. You write the same thing when you collude, they cancel the entire result. You understand? So these are the really issues that affect our examination. And if you look at this act, although they give you option to sit another examination, but as long as you are in government or government-assisted school, it is mandatory you sit to the WASC examination. If your parents have the wherewithal, they can pay for the private, I think,
private trust.
No, private GCO level, the London GC, okay. They can pay. You have that option. The Act also make provision for that. But as long as you are in the school system, you sit to the WASC examination. It's now time. Government should be thinking of having an alternative body to work. As you have in other countries, like for Nigeria, to go to the university, you sit JAM examination. You go for the JAM form. So we should be thinking out of the box. Okay. But again, the problem we are paying the least for examination. And even though government is paying the least for examination, government owes WAEC a lot of money running to millions of dollars. And when government pay for examination, government will only pay WAEC 20%, 30%, 50%. And when WAEC pay these teachers who mark paper, they pay them for paper, I think it's 2 years. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And as we know, most of the teachers, they have lost morale. He cannot answer that question because he's a teacher. He don't want his colleagues to say, now you talk this, now you do. But I am telling you, we have just few committed teachers with integrity. One of them is the current president for SLTU. It's a dedicated, disciplined teacher, Banabum, I think Bankapoma. If you teachers can emulate Bankapoma example in classroom, you will become a distinguished teacher because teacher progressive from one level to another level. You will become a distinguished teacher. So to motivate teacher, what His Excellency have done, he came or introduced the Presidential Best Teacher Award. We have organized, I think, 3. The one, it was in Freetown. The last one, it was Senge in Bond, who won that award. When the new Lord's Prayer was introduced by somebody who did the opening prayer. And Phoebe Amato announced that this is a new version of the Lord's Prayer. I learned the new version. That is a platform for teachers to compete among themselves, show their talent. And when the very first one won that competition, she was taken to Dubai by the former minister, Senge, to interact with other teachers. From that level, you compete the AU Best Teacher Award. But again, sustainability. You have raised the profile of that teacher. Even when you say who won that award, we are going to give them land. They have not been given the land. Up to now, they are complaining. They've not been given the land. We have NASIT. NASIT should be building low-cost housing for teachers, nurses, because these are the people who make the greatest sacrifice. And the free quality education cannot progress if we do not think of the welfare of teachers. Teachers are the center of the free quality education. If you recruit them, you don't pay them well. You recruit them, you don't provide what it takes for them to go and deliver in the classroom. You pour in water on dogs' back. And that's the basic problem we have. Develop our teachers. Even though there is one component in the free quality education to train teachers, but how many number of teachers are we training? Right. For the very first time under the leadership of Laskefa and TSC, they trained all P1 teachers in the country nationwide, all P2 teachers for the very first time. Not even one was left behind. If we can do that for P3, P4, 5, 6, all of the teachers, it will be very good. And at school level, when you have holidays, you go for refreshers course. This is why you bring in Mr. Mew, this is why you bring in Madam Morrison, those retired principals to give refresher course to teachers. Some of them, they don't even understand their syllabus. They skip certain topics like algebra and mathematics. They don't teach the pupils. So it forced them to go to camp. There are several issues in the education sector.
So there comes in.
Yes, Nicholas.
My points are very short but clear, that the teacher is the center of all of these we are struggling with. We are all key players, but the teacher is what is a super key player to enable us have the quality we enjoy and where we want to take Sierra Leone for, particularly for we the poor families. I'm saying this now to the parents. The effect of these public exams is more tantamount to us with the average parent and poor parent. Because everybody is aware now, Phoebe and my brother there, that education indeed is still the key towards the success in this world. So those are parents from Dovecot, School Bay, they can put their last penny for their kids to have at this WAS, neglecting or ignoring that You cannot pour money for a student to get, for your kids to get what quality education. It's a whole process which we have missed. Right. What must be done? I'm calling on be the Congo spoon parent that SS1 focus on your child to be going for extra syndicates and lessons. SS2, the money you are preparing now to pay for camping or paying for this, spend it for quality syndicates so that that's your child can go to rigorous foundational building. SS1, SS2, when you miss it, you just follow the orthodox. You follow the public news. Here comes again the center of the teacher. Morality, passion in the classroom, respect that we are doing what a generation that the students are killing now to mobilize for them to pass public works exams, which are not deceiving and they don't deserve, they don't have the skills, they don't have the knowledge. You set them, they give, yes, you're helping them, now they are smiling, but tomorrow they see as an enemy because they well know that the embarrassment they are going to face at the university, they say, that man is not so do we. Some of them, they have been helped to pass this works exam, but when they go to university, they cannot withstand. So they have to fall back. They remember you in bad times. So know that even though camp is good, campism is of, I have the list here, the benefit of campism, like my brother have already said, nurturing, mentorship, preparation, because what the school lacks now, some camps have them. I have a camp which I've said they have a whole television. In the evening they play it, purely reviewing what past question and answer. That's the only camp I went, I was so amazed. I said, no, I see there is a need for camping. But the majority are more of a money-making machine, leaving the kids exposed into social problems. Imagine somebody went for a wax camping, the parents met them at the Long Living just last week with the friends. Surprisingly, he was shocked. He couldn't believe that that's our child. So these are the social problems. Coming back, what must be done? The teacher, students, passion, and leadership. Teachers must know that what we are sowing now, we are sowing a seed to a garden that will germinate or cause problem for our children's tomorrow. All of our lecturers who lectured us 10 years back, we are now sitting on the round table. Some of them, they can even take a decision without some of us when it's going to write entrepreneurship and innovation. Because what the financial have given us was business management. What we have exposed to us is more of a digital entrepreneurship and what is new. So imagine now they neglected us and they put us in an exposed form. Right. Where we are not mentored. You know, there is a proverb that says if you don't mentor, you cannot be mentored. If you don't train people, you cannot go on vacation. So the teachers that are doing this camp, please, we are giving you, if you have not been doing that, strict measures of monitoring your camps, strict measures of supervising your students, giving them realities of life. Yes, the networking is very important, but what is the value we are giving to your camps? The more you do more good work in your camps, the more you get better for tomorrow. But we should know that what we do today might trace us. Prosperity cannot leave us in limbo. Thank you. The seed you sow today will germinate in a positive or negative way in your life. And these are the teachers we need. These are the doctors. These are the lecturers. These are the public orators. Right. These are, Fabian, you can remember your teacher. Some of them don't have the opportunity to come and do what? To do this presentation now. But they taught you English. They taught us English. Now we are all over. Not only Sierra Leone as global champion, we are going internationally. Have they not given us a foundation, guiding us that education indeed is the key? So that's the consciousness I want to call upon teachers that are doing this camping, that not only focus on money, but rather given the values. Because those who are students that are desperate to get WAS, what is there beyond WAS? That's the essence of camping. Please, let's keep focused. So much. Yes, thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Nicholas, Abraham Nicholas Kamara and Alphonso Manley for joining us this morning in this very important conversation. We appreciate your time.